Welcome back to Football Daily, where today, you guessed it, we're still talking about transfers. That's right, there's only a week left until the transfer window slam shuts, and there's plenty of business still to be done, and some massive rumours floating around this week. So I've looked at a rumour connected to each Premier League club, and I'm going to be putting them into either hit or miss, depending on where I feel that transfer should sit. It's quite a simple premise. I've got a rumour for each club. Let's just crack on with it. At Arsenal, not too many rumours because they've got the majority of their transfer business done already. Of course, fantastic business. But following the Jurrien Timber injury, there are some murmurs that they might dip back into the market for another defender. The Guardian, I think it's Ed Aarons this week, reporting that they could well think about going back in for Mohamed Samakan, who of course they were thinking about signing when they went instead for Jurrien Timber. Samakan, an amazing player. What a fabulous, fabulous footballer. But he is under a long contract at Leipzig. Reports suggest that they want 50 million euros for him. Bayern also heavily interested. Reports are that if they sell Pavard, and that looks like it's going to be done. I'm shooting this on Wednesday, by the way, Wednesday the 23rd of August, so moves might well have changed slightly by the time you see this video. But Pavard looks like he's joining Inter, and Bayern could well target Samakan if that's the case. You know, great profile, exceptionally good on the ball, super athlete at 6'2". Would make an awful lot of sense for Arsenal, but I just don't see them going back in for a defender, despite the fact Jurrien Timber is injured. Certainly not to the tune of 50 million euros. Having said that, if they did, it would be a hit. And I'm talking hypotheticals here. If they did, I think it'd be an amazing signing. I just don't think they will. Next up, Aston Villa, and there are reports suggesting that they could well go in for Nuno Tavares. Now, Nuno Tavares was in talks to join Nottingham Forest. It seems like that broke down. Arsenal pretty keen to get him off the books. He doesn't really fit their style of play, especially not with inverting fullbacks now. He's very much a left wing back, as we saw in France last season, where I think he scored 10 goals from that left wing back role. He's obviously very good on the ball. Great carrier of the ball, really good dribble numbers, plays very high up the pitch. But again, I'm not sure that's entirely what Villa are going to be going for. They've got Dean there, they've got Moreno still to come back from his injury. He's expected back in September, and we've generally seen them operate under Unai Emery with a back four. So I personally don't see them playing loads of times with a back five. They might do on occasion because they have got Konsa, Carlos and Pau Torres fit. They might well operate with a back three at one stage with Cash as a wing back, Moreno as a wing back, but I don't think you're going to see that every match week across 38 games. So I don't really see why they would sign Tavares at 20 million quid, 15, 20 million pounds. It would be a surprise for me. I think I'm going to put this one in a miss. I don't really get it. Next up, we've got Bournemouth, who've obviously done a lot of business, and they are linked, pretty out there links, with Joaquin Correa, the Inter Milan forward. I think this one would be a miss. Next up, we've got Brentford making big moves. I'm putting this one in hit, mainly because I trust Brentford's scouting department, but, you know, 40 million euro bids going in for Nico Gonzalez at Fiorentina. That is big money for Brentford. And look, he had a great season last year, didn't he? 6 Serie A goals in that Fiorentina side that finished 8th. I think his best senior tally in terms of goal output is 7. He can obviously play in a number of different roles across that front line. Clearly, that's something that Thomas Frank is going for. You look at the likes of Schade, Visser and Burmo. Bit of a Swiss Army knife of forward options, and that's probably why Nico Gonzalez is being targeted. I think from Brentford's perspective, this would be extremely exciting. You know, I think he is one of the most underrated forwards in Serie A. So to get him to Brentford would be a coup, man. It would be a big coup. And it's the sort of thing I could see happening now. Like, Brentford are pushing for top 10 finishes. The forward depth would be sensational. This could be mud for United. I don't think Fiorentina are going to want to lose Nico Gonzalez and Sofian Amrabat in the same window, because those would be 2 hammer blows for them. But it feels like this one's a lot further down the line than Amrabat is. A little bit like Brentford's rumour, Carlos Baleba to Brighton persists, and I just trust Brighton's scouting department so much, it'd be foolish of me not to put him in hit. wouldn't it? This one feels like it's stalled a little bit as a deal. We saw Santiago Wan reporting a €30 million fee had been agreed earlier in the week. Then Fabrizio said €25 million had been rejected and the deal had stalled a bit. And there were reports that they might go in for Sambi Lokonga instead. I mean, this guy has played extremely limited minutes. We're talking about a 19-year-old with 500 odd minutes of senior football in Ligue 1, but crazy tackle numbers, you know, an amazing dribbler of the ball, very clearly from anyone who's watched any of his highlights packages, but I haven't seen loads of it. Nobody has. So we just have to trust Brighton on this one. Another Fiorentina boy up next then, Christian Kwame to Burnley. Those rumours persist, don't they? I think this is probably a miss. I don't see this one happening. I think Burnley are really quite stocked in the forward department right now. There's a lot of options going on there. And at €8 million, I mean, never say never, but at €8 million, do they need him? You know, Lorient very interested in him. The deal he had earlier in the window, people might remember, to Nantes, that collapsed. 4 goals, 4 assists last season. Fiorentina are getting raided. I just, you know, with Amdouni there, I'm not entirely sure they need him. Okay, Chelsea are up next. Links persist with a £50 million offer for Folarin Balogun. I'm putting this in miss, man. I think for a number of different reasons. Chelsea just don't need a profile, in my opinion, like Balogun in the squad. Not with the young signing of Nicholas Jackson, who's only 22. Broja, extremely young as well. I don't see where he fits in there. I think it's a big fee. Amazing numbers in Ligue 1 last season. But I think from Balogun's perspective, I would just go back to Ligue 1. You've proven you can do it in that division. Go and prove you can do it at another club. Can you go and perform at an even higher level with Monaco? You know, Monaco are very interested. If I was him, I would be heading to the south of France. Don't think there's any guarantee of minutes at Chelsea, more so than there are at Arsenal, really. I think Jackson is the number 9 right now. Balogun would have to battle with him 4 minutes, just like he would have to battle with Jesus and Nketiah 4 minutes. You know, XG put him at about 26 last season. He scored 21, of course. Massive shot numbers in France. Just go back to France, man. Just go back to France. Don't go to Chelsea. Next up, we've got Crystal Palace, and a really good transfer, I think, this. Dean Henderson. I think this is a great move for everybody concerned. Of course, Gaeta kind of forcing an exit, refusing to play. Sam Johnston doing a job in goal, but they're clearly trying to identify a number 1. And I think Dean Henderson obviously wants to become that guy. He wants to become a Premier League number 1. He would have gone to Forest, I think, but they obviously ended up going for Matt Turner. He seems like he's going to be the number 1 there. I think Dean Henderson's a really good goalkeeper. If he can stay fit, he has had injury problems, which was 18 starts last season. Then Keylor Navas had to come in because of those injury problems. He had injury problems before that at Man United as well. But if he can stay fit, I think we're talking about one of the best English goalkeepers in the league. I think if you can get him for £15-20 million, I think Trafford went for £18 million for Burnley, didn't he? Dean Henderson's definitely got higher pedigree in the Premier League right now. You know, a lot of people you talk to will say James Trafford has a higher ceiling. But in terms of being a very good level Premier League goalkeeper immediately, I think Palace couldn't find many better options. £20 million. Get that deal done. Next up, we've got Che Adams to Everton. I think I'm going to put this one in miss. I'm not entirely sure about this one. Seems odd. Squabbling over a £5 million fee that's going on there. His highest ever Premier League goal scoring tally, 9. That's dropped 3 consecutive years as well. 9, 7, 5. As is his XG, as of his shot numbers. Proven track record in the Championship, and I think he would have smashed it this season for Southampton, but obviously they can't keep hold of him for contractual reasons. I'm just not sure he's going to provide the goals that Everton need. Everton are crying out for a goal scorer. Calvert-Lewin can't stay fit. Is Che Adams the guy who's going to get you 10 plus Premier League goals? Everton fans, let me know, but for me, off the bat, miss. Fulham, linked to Eric Dyer this week. Of course, Tim Ream sent off extremely harshly at the weekend. Calvin Bassey's already come through the door. They've got Tosin, who looks like he's going to leave or has been pushing to leave all summer anyway. And it's a Diop on the books. I think this would be a great signing. Is this just me? Maybe not great, but a good signing. Eric Dyer. You know, the Premier League experience, yes, he's not Tottenham calibre right now, but he's still only 29. A bit like Maguire, this. In a deep block, I think he would function fine. I I think he is a good defender, clearly a leader, somebody with massive Premier League experience that you could partner Bassi with because he doesn't have an awful lot himself. And in that deeper block, I think he would be good. Decent range of passing, not exceptional. But for Fulham, if they can get this deal done for like 10 million quid, 5 million quid, feels like a no-brainer. Let's go to Liverpool then. Rumours persist, don't they? Could have done Andre here, but I'm doing Cheikh Doucouré because it's the big rumour. Following Endo, Wataru Endo's coming through the door for a smaller fee. It feels like they've saved the rest of their budget for a blockbuster deep-lying midfielder. Of course, they had that £110 million bid for Caicedo accepted, so they've got 90-odd million in the bank. Cheikh Doucouré seems like he's the guy they're going for. And Palace want £80 million. I like Cheikh Doucouré a lot. He's clearly an absolute battle axe in the midfield. Look at those defensive numbers, tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances. He will bleed for you. But we haven't really seen him developing on the ball at Palace an awful lot. 80-odd% pass accuracy, a little bit below 80 as well. Averaging in the 30s for passes per 90. He's not going to dictate the game for Liverpool. I just think £80 million it's astronomical. I think £80 million on Doucouré is a miss. If it was 40 million, 50 million maybe, I would be saying this is interesting business. I think £80 million, Palace know what they've got here. They've got Liverpool stuck between a rock and a hard place. The Reds fans crying out for a signing, demanding a signing, and they can pretty much demand what they want. So Palace have every right here to be pushing the boat out. Luton have rumours about signing Japhet Tanganga. I think this one's just on loan. His contract's up in 2025. He's 24 now, Tanganga. I'm going to put it in hit because, again, Luton, the recruitment team, have done such a fabulous job there, taking them from the Conference to the Premier League. And I think Japhet Tanganga, with his limited Premier League experience, still has more Premier League experience than most of the Luton backline. He's got the physicality to operate in there, and it's going to be interesting to see whether they get the Tanganga who broke through, who was an incredibly exciting prospect, both on the ball and physically, or if they get the Tanganga who struggled recently. Because it will be a very different system at Luton. He'll be asked to do an awful lot more defending than he is on the ball. But I think, again, it would be a good signing for Luton's level. Let's go to Manchester City, where we've got two transfers down here. Again, I'm shooting this on Wednesday, the 23rd of August, where today we saw David Ornstein say that Manchester City have made inquiries into Matheus Nunes. Now, Wolves obviously aren't keen to sell. There's a week left of the transfer window. They've already been absolutely pillaged, but they have FFP issues behind the scenes. Does this money mean that Gary O'Neill can invest in other areas of the squad, i.e. a striker who can score a goal? Maybe. And we've seen Pep Guardiola talk about Matheus Nunes before. Let's not forget the interview he gave in the Champions League where he was talking about Matheus Nunes being one of the best players in the world when he was at Sporting. Clearly, they're trying to sign a midfielder. Following KDB, his injury, we've seen links with Paqueta. That's blown up for obvious reasons. And now we're seeing links with Nunes. We're seeing links with Eberechi Eze, who we're going to talk about in a minute. And Nunes is amazing in terms of ball progression. Brilliant ball carrier, huge dribble numbers, a decent defender as well. Not a lot of attacking output, which makes it quite interesting to me that the other profile they're targeting, Eberechi Eze, doesn't feel the same. Yes, he's an amazing dribbler, no doubt about that. Both of these guys, fantastic ball progressors, fantastic dribblers. But Eze's more of a 10. Huge non-penalty expected goal numbers last season. Great goal scoring output. Not such good defensive output. Matheus Nunes, good defensive output. Nothing much going forward. So two quite different players being linked. I don't see City signing both of them. But I think in either case, there'd be a hit. I love Eze. The thought of Eze at Palace makes my toes curl. I love him so much. Him and Doku, the dribble numbers with Foden and Grealish. Jesus Christ. They're cooking. They are cooking. These players are identifying smart bits of business. If City get Nunes, though, Liverpool will have missed out on Caicedo, Lavia, Bellingham, Mount, Matheus Nunes. Who else am I missing? Man United have also got two players to talk about. Sofian Amrabat. His name continues to hang around, doesn't it? I do think that Gonzalez transfer will change the picture. If he goes to Brentford and Fiorentina can bank that money, I think that makes the Amrabat deal an awful lot harder to do. Of course, he's still training by himself as things stand. I just don't think United are going to be able to afford a centre mid. I think the only way this is going to happen is with a player like Ryan Gravenberch, who they can take on loan with an obligation or option to buy next summer. I just can't see it happening, unless Donny van de Beek was to leave the club, Dean Henderson was to leave the club, and they could reinvest that money in a midfielder, then we're talking. But if that doesn't happen, I don't see Amrabat joining. And I think it's a big problem for Manchester United. I'm going to speak on Team Talk that's going out tomorrow about Manchester United's midfield, and I'm pretty confident on that. We shot it last week. The United would get a midfielder through the door. I'm feeling a little bit less confident now. Honestly, I'm feeling a little bit less confident. Nevertheless, I think Amrabat will be a hit. We've talked about him on plenty of shows before. An amazing deep line distributor. Such good passing numbers. Honestly, progressive passes, long distance passes. Just a brilliant game controller. And Ryan Gravenberch, who's only 21 still, proved he could control games at Ajax. We haven't really seen it at Bayern. We haven't seen him be able to take that level up. And I think Bayern Munich, judging by the article in The Athletic anyway, would be open to letting him leave if it allowed them to get a fee to reimburse in a number 6 for Thomas Tuchel, which alone wouldn't allow to do at Manchester United. I think he'd be a hit, and it'd be a fun signing, wouldn't it? It'd be interesting to see what he can do. Can he produce the Ajax numbers of ball progression, ball carrying, game control that he produced in the Eredivisie in the Premier League? It's a big 50-50 call for me. Newcastle still being linked to another centre-back, somebody who could either replace Shah or sit in behind Shah as a number 2 option. Jean-Claude Todibo's name starting to get a bit of traction, and what a signing this would be at 23. Let's not forget, we all remember Todibo when he broke through as this sort of phenomenon in France before going to Barcelona. Career kind of stalled there, and it's back on track now to some level anyway at Nice. Again, such a good defender, an out-and-out defender who can operate as a right-back or a centre-back at times, can play the ball into midfield, very comfortable passer. I think he'd be an amazing young signing to have a centre-back pairing of Todibo and Botman. With Livramento as a young right-back, Lewis Hall as a young left-back. Profiles being signed by Dan Ashworth would be crazy. At Nottingham Forest, we're seeing links with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Of course, that move to Fulham feels like it's stalled, or at least that's the reporting on Wednesday, the 23rd of August. If that move has stalled, I think this would be a good signing for Forest. Reported fees less than £10 million. We've seen them target Anthony Elanga, the other forward options, Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs-White, one of my favourite players in the league, Taiwo Awoniyi. I think that Callum Hudson-Odoi fits well into that counter-attacking style of winger. If Brennan Johnson was to leave and they got a big fee, Callum Hudson-Odoi would be a smart pickup. Yes, he hasn't done it for a few years. Not enough minutes last season at Leverkusen, but he's still only 22. And Steve Cooper, in my opinion, is a really good coach for young players. He's proven it at England youth level. He's slowly proving it with Nottingham Forest, the development of Morgan Gibbs-White, the development of Brennan Johnson. Taiwo Awoniyi's got, 8 goals in his last 6 games. If I was Hudson-Odoi, I think that's an exciting front line to be a part of. I think that's a hit. Another definite hit for me, Cameron Archer. This might well have gone through by the time you're watching this video, but as we record it right now, there's still only rumours that a bid has been accepted to Sheffield United, and I think Sheffield United have been crying out for a player of his profile. They've got a lot of striking options, but I'm not sure any of them are as exciting as Cameron Archer. Those non-penalty expected goals numbers, creativity he was able to provide, Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough at times last season, his age profile, still only 22. This would be a huge coup for Sheffield United. I think it's going to include a buyback clause for Villa. Very, very smart. They've done some very good business, Villa, with their outgoings, the likes of Aaron Ramsey and Cameron Archer, to get those buyback clauses in there. I just think he could prove to be a big hit. I don't think he's going to keep Sheffield United up, but if they go down to the Championship, he'll immediately be one of the best young strikers in the league. It's just smart business to pick up a player like Cameron Archer. Tottenham Hotspur still links with Gift Orban, who I think would be a hit. I think he would be a hit. Again, I trust Ange to get this sort of stuff right. Fantastic numbers for Ghent. Still only 21 years old. You know, proven to be able to do it, not only in the Belgian Pro League, but also in the Europa Conference League. Not an amazing standard, I know, but you still got to put the ball in the back of the net. Huge shot numbers. I think over 4 shots per 90 in Belgium. So that's very, very promising. And I think Richarlison needs a challenge. Like, he can't just start every minute of every game this season, Richarlison. I think he will be better with somebody breathing down his neck like Gift Orban. So this is, again, a smart bit of business if you can get him for the right fee. Finally, West Ham, we've got En-Nesyri. I mean, perfect David Moyes striker. Perfect. Still only 26 years old. An absolute beast in the air. I don't think there is a better striker aerially than him in Europe. Maybe there is, and I'm just forgetting someone. But off the top of my head, I'm struggling. Erling Haaland, obviously, good in the air as well. But he's so dominant. He's like Dominic Calvert-Lewin when Calvert-Lewin was able to just jump above everybody else, clear everybody out, huge basketball-style leaps. You know, we've seen him score goals both for Sevilla and for Morocco at the World Cup. As a rotation option for Antonio and potentially starting over Mikel Antonio to do the dog work, huge pressure numbers, block numbers, great in both penalty boxes. I just love it. Let's make this one happen, please. Now, I just finished shooting this video when the news broke from David Ornstein that West Ham have had a bid accepted for Mohamed Kudus. Of course, the Ghanaian forward who can also play in midfield, an incredibly exciting prospect. 5-year contract with an optional 6th extra year for 41.5 million euros, which feels like a snip. I'm sure Ajax fans are absolutely furious with his sale. To take him and Edson Alvarez off of Ajax for less than 80 million, very, very good business. The attacking prospects on the books at West Ham, especially if you consider they might have to lose Paqueta. And Kudus can play as a midfielder, he can play as a 10, he can play wide. He's even offered up minutes, you know, at times as an out-and-out striker for Ajax. This is a nailed-on hit. I don't have the graphic up in front of me, but what a signing this is, man. Like, to spend the money on Kudus, Ward-Prowse, and Edson Alvarez that you get from Declan Rice feels like very good business from West Ham. Finally, we've got Wolves. We haven't got Wolves because I genuinely couldn't find a transfer rumour for them. Not one. Not one. Not one. Okay, so that was my hit or miss regarding transfer rumours for each Premier League club before deadline day. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Make sure you watch Team Talk. That's coming out tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Goodbye.